Hello everybody and welcome to the first game of 3rd edition Batman miniature game by Night Models. We played the 2nd edition for a little while and now after a delay the 3rd edition is finally here. It plays quite differently to the 2nd edition. There's objective decks, there's no more dice allocation to stats at the raise to plan phase. There's only 4 battle rounds instead of 6. The box edition came with a bunch of scenery that you can see on the board, including the Ferris wheel over there that was a pain to assemble. Well, rather than front-loading the start of this video with things that have changed in 3rd edition, we'll go over them as we play, and do keep in mind the rules are obviously new. This is not a how to play, this is a getting to know the game edition. There will probably be mistakes. Feel free to courteously point out anything you think is wrong or misinterpreted. There are some rules which are not as well written as you would have hoped. Also, like we discussed in the unboxing for the 3rd edition, the dodge and acrobat rules are not clearly defined anywhere, and that includes, at time of recording, the FAQ on Night Model's website. We are going to count it that the bonus you get from those rules is that 1 dice is removed from range attacks, until such time as it is clarified, because right now it doesn't actually have a definition. Anyway, let's look at the crews. So it's Joker going up against Batman today, as you can probably tell by what you saw before. Also, Brave and the Bold is back to being classified as Batman. So it is just Batman, which is what it was called in 1st edition. They can't make their mind up. So Joker's crew is being led by the Arkham Asylum Joker. He has free agent Killer Croc. Then he has Bogran the Cursed. Is that Whiteface? Whiteface the Clown with the shotgun. And then 2 of the generic hired goons, Gustav Gustafsson and Carlo Grotti, I think. And you'll notice beneath their... well, obviously it's the 2nd edition cards. 2nd edition cards, you just have to look up the compendium online on the Night Models website to know what all the rules now have as their definition. And as far as stats, even though you're not allocating dice, the only thing you need to work out is what their movement translates to. I think it's like ×2 + 2, roughly, something like that. But underneath you'll see a new thing. This is 20 objective cards. I'm not going to look at them because they've been shuffled and you're not supposed to look at them. At any one time you have 4 objective cards in your hand, and the way you win victory points is obtaining your objectives. But there is other things you can do with objective cards that we'll talk about later, to again try not to front load this too much. But that is how things happen now. There isn't set objectives and then you place the objectives and then you try and claim your own objectives, nothing like that. So we'll be seeing more from objective cards as we play. And what would previously have been known as Brave the Bold, but now just back to being Batman, it's the Arkham Asylum Batman, which is not a very good Batman, or wasn't in 2nd edition in my opinion. So we're going to see how he fares in 3rd edition, even though he doesn't have Martial Artist. Backed up by Damien, who is a henchman, keep in mind, because that's important, because he has taken handcuffs, he's allowed to take 1 bit of gear. Then we have Arkham Knight, Nightwing, and then we have Arkham Guard 1, 2 and 3. I always forget which one is 1, 2 and 3, but the one with the assault rifle has a magazine, and the one with the riot gun also has a magazine for extra ammo. Oh, and Batman took +1 endurance from the upgraded Batsuit. So we are deployed, and rather than play one of the mission cards from the box, we're just going to do a standard objective game, 8-inch deployment. You're not allowed to place suspect markers, which we'll see as we play, within 10 inches, because it's at least 2 inches outside of whatever your deployment zone is. And the Batman side has deployed up to the line here, and Killer Croc can deploy next to a sewer grating, which is still a thing, so are lampposts, although there is 1 less lamppost and sewer grating each team, so it's 2 each instead of 3 each. And the other thing to go over before we get started is just an example of drawing a hand. So here is the 4 Batman cards that were drawn, and these are various objectives. The number denotes when you play it. So I think 1 is basically at the start of the game, 3 is during a turn, 4 is after the game or after a turn, I've forgotten offhand. And you can do 2 things. You can either play them to score an objective, or you can play them as a resource, and you have 3 resource points per turn. And this one's actually free to play, but this one would need 1 resource. So each side has 3 resource points to start. For example, this one is being played immediately because it can. The Batman side picks a model that isn't the boss, so not Batman. If that model isn't KO'd or removed as a casualty by the end of the game, you score the objective, and you score the big number in the top left, so that would be 2 victory points at the end of the game. If Nightwing is not KO'd or knocked out at the end of the game, so that just gets put to one side, it's in play, it's to be visible. Other ones in your hand aren't technically supposed to be, but hey, they're over here. They might or may not be played, but they're played at a different phase. So that basically covers it, other than getting into activations and audacity markers. So before we go into Battle Round 1 proper and cover how Raising the Plan works in 3rd edition, I think I misspoke and said that the card here was checked at the end of the game. I meant end of the round. You know that by the little like clock face. That means it's checked at the end of the current round. So as long as Nightwing doesn't go down in one turn, this turn, that gets scored, is how that works. If it has like a little diamond thing, it means immediately, I think, and then there's a third symbol which means read the card text because it's got a special criteria, and those are the only three besides the number indicating the stage of the game it gets played. So, in 2nd edition, the Raise the Plan phase, once the game is started, would be when you assign dice to move, attack, defend, special. That's not a thing anymore. So what you get is 4 Audacity markers, and you give these up to 4. 4 is the most you can have. These are resource markers also, just ignore those. And you give those to 4 of your miniatures. Now, Joker's side, because he has Chaos Agent, everyone on his team has Trickster, so he doesn't have to do that at this stage. He can decide who gets Audacity when he activates. But, in 3rd edition, models can only do one thing in their activation. They can either do a movement action, they can do a tactical action, or they can do a special action. Movement is self-explanatory. Special is any skill on their card marked with a batarang, which means it's a special effort to do. A tactical action can either be attacking, either ranged, close combat, whatever weapons they've got equipped with, or a manipulate. And a manipulate can either be put down a suspect marker based on an objective, remove a suspect marker for the enemy, which is called a reveal, or go in a surgrading, and surgradings work the same as in 2nd edition. So I think that about covers it. So this is the Raise the Plan phase. We're going into Battle Round 1 proper. There's only one more thing to cover, and that's from Joker's hand. One card is being played, so this will proc at the end of the round as well, and that's if a friendly model with the leader, sidekick or free agent rank gets damaged, it scores. So that means if Joker or Killer Croc get hit in Battle Round 1, this scores. Now that's interesting because Killer Croc is up front and he could basically charge, and the Batman crew have to make a decision. Hurt him because he's coming at you and let the 2 victory points get scored, or ignore him for a turn and hope that you can weather the storm. There is no drawing from Bag of Destiny to decide who goes first. It's simple roll-offs. Joker is going first as we go into Battle Round 1 proper and get 3rd edition started. So the very first activation of Battle Round 1 in this 3rd edition battle report is actually kind of a boring one, I guess. Carlo activated, he did not get given an Audacity icon, and all he did was a move action. He's moved 2, which in this edition translates to 8 inches, which is quite a lot compared to previous. So he has moved up, and that little tick, much like Crisis Protocol, is just to indicate, hey, he's had his turn. You don't need to use them if you can keep track, but hey, I think it makes watchability a bit better if you know for sure who's went and who hasn't. So now it's over to the Batman for his first activation. Oh, also actually there is one more thing to cover. Any henchman who starts within 8 inches of the leader gets a free manipulate action. So they can do that as well as one other thing, even if they don't have an Audacity token. So for Batman's team, Arkham Guard 2 up here with his assault rifle is activating. He is within 8 of Batman, so he could technically do a free manipulate, but all he is going to do is a tactical action and he's going to shoot. Now, like 2nd edition, matches of this game are always set at night, so you can see 12 inches clearly. However, in 3rd edition you can shoot beyond that, you as long as the weapon isn't medium or small ranged. So his assault rifle is just a firearm, which would normally mean that one of the new die you roll, which we go into in a second, would be a 2+. He's going to shoot at Killer Croc, knowing full well what that means. So it's Ray of Fire 3, which is those 3 dice, and then for melee and ranged attacks you include a strength die. We're not going to need to worry about that for now though, because he's shooting out of his optimal range, so 1 die has to be subtracted, and it's always the strength die if you're doing a ranged attack. That is not the case if it's a close combat attack, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. So it's still the Rate of Fire 3. There is no defense rolls against a ranged attack anymore because it's very easy to make dice get taken away. Like if they move before they fire, you lose 2 dice. If they're in cover, you lose a die. There's a lot of different ways. And if you have acrobat or dodge, 1 die gets removed as well, as discussed. So anyway, I'm going to do this roll on camera just to show how this all works. So he is looking to beat, get equal to or beat Killer Croc's defense stat, which is 3. So he beat it on, oops, I knocked that die, but it was a 6, so it doesn't matter. He beat it on 2 of them, and that just means that damage gets through for what would be 6 damage. However, that is at the point where this objective card is being played. Inflict damage with a ranged attack, but change all blood damage to stun. The weapon must at least inflict 1 blood for this to be applicable. It's done during an activation. You can at most play 1 objective card as an objective during a single model's activation, or 1 card as a resource as well. But this is being played to score. So Killer Croc has not taken 6 blood, he has taken 6 stun. And the way stun and blood damage works in this game now is that every model has 2 health bars. The willpower takes stun damage, that reaches your cap, you get knocked out. Endurance is blood damage, that reaches 0, you're dead. So I think everything was done correctly there. And that does also mean that Joker's card, which is still over here, because a free agent got shot, that gets scored as well. So technically they counter each other out because they both give 2 victory points, but that's just showing how ranged attacking works. So before we go over the next activation, there was one slight error in the shooting attack. Shooting outside of line of sight with the dark or the night rule for being in Gotham is actually -2. So it's not just the strength die that gets removed, it's 1 other die. 1 die did miss, so we're just going to play it that was the one that shouldn't have been rolled. So also, much like Crisis Protocol again, there's now new fancy icons you can leave next to miniatures. So they look like Dragon Balls, but Killer Croc does have 6 stun on him. And that's actually interesting because he's a low willpower model and a high endurance. He's 1 willpower away from getting knocked out. But he hasn't had a turn yet, still. But that's a very effective way of taking down what would otherwise be a very tanky character. Certainly Bogrim activated. He was within 8 of Joker, so he can do a free manipulate, so he did not get an Audacity token. He moved 8 because he's movement 2, and then he used the free manipulate to put down a suspect marker, and that could be anything. It could be nothing, it could be something needed for an objective, it could be a trap, it could be a bunch of stuff. We'll see as we play on. So the next activation for Batman's crew was Damien, and he had an Audacity icon so he can do 1 of each type of action. So he started with a move. He didn't have anything he could really do with a special action. The back claws are special action now, but they just add 6 inches to your movement and then allow you to go like, you don't need to just go in a straight line, you can climb buildings, etc. So what he did instead was move and then throw batarangs, still called batlings unfortunately, at Bogrin, and it has a throwing trait, and throwing means you still throw at full rate of fire, or fire at full rate of fire rather, even if you moved, because normally it'd be a -2, but you only throw 2, so it'd be a 0. So that's his role there. The strength die is different in the sense that you're looking to equal or beat your own strength value. He's strength 4, so that did nothing, but each of those did 2 stun, so Bogrin has taken 4 stun in total on the 2 Dragon Balls there, and he is 1 away from also being knocked out. So I don't know, it's strange, but like, non-blood weapons have a lot of clout now. Gustaf Gustafsson was next to activate, and although his gun is medium range, which is an effective range of 16 inches, he opted to fire at Damien, who is not illuminated, so the night rule applies, which is -2. So normally Gustaf would be rolling 5 dice plus the strength die for a total of 6, -2, so the strength die and 1 of the normal dice go. And then also Damien is an acrobat, so that is another -1, meaning he was rolling 3. And Damien is small, and small in 3rd edition means you have +1 to your defense when rolling. So what that basically means is that Damien goes from defense 4 to defense 5. So Gustaf was only able to get 1 bullet through, because that was the roll there, meaning that Damien has taken 1 blood damage and has 4 endurance remaining. Couple of quick activations to cover. This Arkham Guard with the baton 1 maybe. He does not have Audacity, so he could only do 1 action, and he wasn't within range to get a free manip, so he just moved up to where you can see him behind that. Perhaps he's plotting something, who knows. And then Whiteface over here, he did have a free manipulation because he started within 8 of Joker, so he moved up and he has placed a suspect marker behind him there. I think suspect markers have to be at least 4 inches away from each other, maybe it's 3, and you can never have more than 8 or 10, but I don't think it's going to come to that either way. So, let's see who's next. Nightwing was next to activate, and he did have Audacity, so he used his special action to use his back claw and acrobat plus his base movement of 4, which translates into like 12 inches. It gave him like 18 inches. So for his movement action, he went right into Bogrin's face, and then he used his tactical action as an attack and just obliterated Bogrin. He only needed to do 2, he did about 6, forgot to have it sitting there to show you, apologies for that. But there is something you can do in close combat in 3rd edition called Effort, and either the attacker or the defender can expend up to 3 stun damage to do Effort. and the defender always has to decide first whether or not they're using effort. What that means is you can add extra attack dice per effort added, you can add extra defense dice, but you're not able to do it if it would result in you knocking yourself out, essentially. So that combined with Nightwing easily doing enough damage, there was no reason to use effort in this particular encounter, and as such Bogren is indeed unconscious, so I guess the activation icon is not necessary. So we'll cover how recovery can work at the end of the turn, but there's still, let's see, Joker hasn't gone yet, Croc hasn't gone yet, and Batman and one of the Arkham guards hasn't gone yet. A nasty turn followed for Joker's crew. Killer Croc activated. Now thanks to Amphibious and Lord of the Sewer, he can go through a sewer without using a manipulate action, and once per game can keep moving after leaving a sewer. So he did that to charge into the poor Arkham guard with the riot gun over here, and one effort was expended to add a defense die to try and fend off his attack, so that's why one stun was done. However, Killer Croc was rolling 5 dice plus the strength die for 6, needed 3s plus on all of them, and the defense dice required 5 pluses because he's strength 5, and that resulted in 5 blood damage and 5 stun damage. The stun damage is irrelevant, plus the stun he gave himself. He is just dead, which means Audacity marker was also wasted because he had been given one and hadn't gone yet. If you're wondering what that means, for every 3 blood accumulated on a person, they lose 1 maximum effort. So that's why that's there, but again, it's irrelevant because he is now dead. That's really bad, but it is worth pointing out, Croc scored no victory points for doing that. I mean, Nightwing scored no victory points for knocking Bogren out either, but it's less about murdering. Now obviously in the long run, there's a very angry crocodile man down there, but didn't actually score any victory points for that, and that's important. Oh, sorry, just to be clear as well, obviously Croc was given Audacity. However, he is not a henchman, so I don't think Joker's Chaos thing would have applied. So he technically should have been given Audacity at the Raise the Plan phase. That'll be corrected going forwards, but he was obviously going to get given it regardless, so it should be okay. Batman activated to end off the Batman crew's first battle round. He had Audacity, so he used his back claw to get 16 inches in total, and he went right after Croc. Unleashed 5 attacks, 6 plus the strength die. Croc didn't have enough willpower left over to exert himself. Batman didn't see the need. He did 6 more stun, which is more than enough to knock Killer Croc out, and more importantly, that triggered this objective card, which hopefully is in view. They won't see me coming. Inflict damage on an enemy model that did not have line of sight to this attacker at the start of the attacker's activation. So that is 1 victory point scored for knocking Croc out because he didn't see Batman up here when Batman went after him. Also, that means another objective card got drawn, because if at any time you don't have 4 in your hand, you draw another one. So now it's over to Joker to end battle round 1. So there wasn't much to Joker's turn. He took Audacity, he moved, and then he used the manipulate action to travel via the sewer over there. There does not seem to be the limitation of 1 sewer travel per turn for each crew. It just seems as long as you can pay the manipulate cost, you can do it. If that is wrong, by all means point it out. So that does take us to the kind of recap and recovery for battle round 1, but also more importantly, Nightwing did not go down, so this has now been scored because it's the end of the round. So that's in the win pile. And we'll be back in a second with how recovery works for KO models. So at the end of a round, every conscious model automatically recovers 1 stun. You don't roll for it anymore. Knocked out models have to do a endurance check. And to do that, they roll dice equal to their special skill -1, because they get -1 to all stats if they're knocked out. So in Croc and Bogren's case, it was 2 dice down from 3. Then you combine the total, and if it's equal to or less than the value you're trying to meet, you wake up. So for Croc, he has woken up, and for Bogren, he has not. Now as we move into the next phase, you can discard up to 1 objective card and draw a new one. You can score some at the end of the turn, etc. And then you roll off to see who goes first. If it's a draw, the person who didn't go first last time goes first this time. So to get battle round 2 started, Joker's crew got the activation and Killer Croc activated with Audacity. And there's a lot to cover. So first of all, we had to stand up, and the way knocked down and then standing up from knockdown works in this one is that you get impaired movement, which is just -4 over whatever your movement distance is, and it counts as your movement action. So you have to stand up and then keep going if you plan to move any further than that in the turn. He stood up. He then used his tactical action, not to attack, but to place a suspect marker. And as you can see, it's a special suspect marker, and it's Joker's explosive teeth from Bite the Dust. There's a lot of text on this, When a friendly model places a suspect marker, you may change it to explosive teeth, which we have. You roll 1d6, you got a 5, and you're supposed to put it on top of the explosive teeth, so there you go. What else does this say? At the end of every model's activation after the current one, so not counting Croc, the timer goes down by 1 and it moves 1d6 in the direction towards whoever just activated. When it reaches 0, place the explosive template over the marker. All models affected, so that's friend or foe, get 1 blood damage. If any model suffered damage as a result of this, you score 2 victory points. Simple as. Also, when this happens, or if I guess, both players discard a random card from their hand at random. So that's now in play until these explosive teeth blow up. So Croc, also when you wake up from being knocked out, you just heal 1 stun, so he's still 1 away from getting re-knocked out. So he has done something good. There's now explosive teeth in play. We'll see what happens with that as we go to Batman's first activation. Damian Wayne was next activated, and as you can see, the explosive teeth have waddled 4 inches towards where he was. So he had Audacity, and he moved up almost as full 10 inches is allowed with his movement to there. He then used his special action to use his cuffs to arrest Bogrin, which automatically triggered Get Him Off the Streets. The criteria is simply arrest a model, and that's 3 victory points. That's a really good one. So that is scored, new card drawn into the hand to get it back up to 4. Then for his tactical action, he attacked with his, I think it's his last remaining, I think he only has 2 sets of batarangs. He threw them at Carlo Grotti, and I'm going to need to ask clarity for people watching this. Is there really no pings or anything like that anymore? Like, do range attacks not give any defense? Because it doesn't seem like it does. But that doesn't seem right. Damien got 3 hits for 6 stun. Carlo has 4 willpower, so he is knocked out. And will not be getting a turn in this activation, or of his battle round rather. Gustafsson activated and stayed on his perch and expended for just a single action his last bit of ammunition into Nightwing, who is an acrobat, so the strength die got taken away, but still managed to do a massive 5 blood damage to him, so he has 2 health left, but there's nothing else he could do up there, so it's back over to Batman's crew. So there's another complicated turn to go through here as Nightwing activated. He has Audacity, he moved next to the suspect marker that was there, used his tactical action to reveal it, and in turn scored Confusion. Reveal 1 enemy suspect marker within 8 inches of the enemy's deployment zone, which it is, so that has been scored. However, in retaliation, so long it's been a gas has been played as a resource, not as an objective, not as victory points, as a resource. Before a suspect marker is revealed, you can place a gas canister next to it, roll a d6, they got a 6. Any model that starts their activation within 4 inches of the gas canister suffers the poison effect with the gas rule, so that just means if you have a gas mask it doesn't affect you. At the end of every model's activation, after the current one, the value goes down at 0, remove the gas canister. So it's not a way to score anything, it's just a way to cause problems for Nightwing and Damien, essentially. Also, it's every person's turn that the teeth move on, so it should have moved towards Gustav. So it did, and then it moved towards Nightwing, and it's currently there with 2 turns remaining. Whiteface was the next activation. He claimed Audacity, he moved and then used a tactical action to place another suspect marker right there. Don't know what he's plotting, but that's all he could do, and the teeth have moved, where you can see them there with 1 turn until they explode. Next activation was the Arkham Guard with the extended baton. He had Audacity this turn. He placed down a suspect marker right there in the corner, and then just moved around the corner. He only has close range, so he couldn't attack. And that's it. So now it's just Joker to end off the Joker's crew's turn for Battle Round 2. And then Batman and the Arkham Guard up here still get to go. Oh, how could we forget the explosive teeth? They moved 3 inches towards the Arkham Guard that just activated. That is the template, and as you can see, it is not hitting anybody. I think that's smaller than the template that was in 2nd edition. The gas spray one is thicker and smaller as well, weirdly. So the teeth did not hurt anybody, so therefore it does not score and does not force a discard either. So Joker did indeed activate, and he did his once per game 1-shot gun, which is a strength 2 plus 3 blood, crit 3, well bleed 3, but it means it procs on the crit. He shot the poor Arkham Guard, it got the crit. He just 1-shot with his 1-shot gun, so it lived up to his name. That poor Arkham Guard is dead. He had Audacity as well, I forgot to mention that. So the other thing he did was play the unique Joker card called Showtime. Place this card near the character card of the activated model. Well, just place it here so we can read it real quick. Roll 1d3 plus 2, that's the number of enemy suspect markers that get removed and placed in contact with him, ignoring the usual rules for not being that close to each other. There was only one, it was the one that was there, so it's now next to Joker. Plus you put a dice on it, based on the roll you did. every activation after the current one it counts down. If, when it's reduced to 0, any markers are still in contact with this model, score this objective. So it's in play, it's a big score if it happens, 3. The only way to move it is, I guess, maybe an objective card that lets you remove one of your own markers, or kill the Joker. Simple, we kill the Joker. So now the Arkham guard up here and Batman both get to activate back to back to end off the new halfway point, because there's only 4 turns. So to see off the final 2 activations about round 2, first the Arkham guard up here activated, shot with his gun into Killer Croc and played another non-lethal ammo to score it for 2 victory points and also do enough stun damage that Killer Croc has again fallen unconscious. So that meant Batman could just move, he moved 10 inches to where you could see, and then chucked batarangs at Joker. Did 2 stun, although that'll become 1 stun at the end of the turn because he'll heal for 1 stun. Basically just trying to go after him. And the counter on that suspect marker and the canister of gas over there are both on 3 activations. So that takes us to the recap for Battle Round 2. So at the end of Battle Round 2, Carlo Grotti is staying unconscious. It's very difficult for him to wake up. Killer Croc, however, has indeed woke up again. Joker has healed 1 stun. He's the only one with stun damage currently. And 1 objective card on each side was discarded and a new one has been drawn. So with that, we are moving into Battle Round 3 and Joker's crew won the roll-off again and will be going first. So to get Battle Round 3 started, there's only 4 models left in Batman's crew, so all of them get Audacity just by default. But it was Joker's crew going first. Killer Croc activated, he had Audacity as well. He used a Manipulate to place a suspect marker, however, it's not a normal suspect marker, it's a stinky fish. Via it doesn't look fresh, which is this card right here. When you place a friendly suspect marker, you may change it to be a poison fish, although it's still classed as a suspect marker for the purposes of the rules. A model that reveals this marker, in other words, removes it, suffers the poison effect. However, if the marker is still in play at the end of the round, score this card. So it's basically, someone has to get poisoned removing that, or Joker scores 2 victory points. Simple as that. So because he did that, he can't attack, so he's hiding down here to avoid him up here who still has 1 round of ammunition left because he had the extra magazine. Also, there's 2 activations left on the suspect marker and the gas canister. Batman activated with Audacity, as previously said. He charged the Joker with his move. He efforted himself to stun for 1 just to get an extra attack die. Really wanted to knock Joker out in 1 turn. All said and done, the Joker also did not do an effort to defend. Did 6 stun damage with the one he had from before. That's 7. Joker has 8 willpower in total, so he's sitting on 1 away from being knocked out. And and also these are on 1 activation now, right? Or are they on 2? I can't remember if they were on 3 or 2, because it matters. Alright, we need to double check. Sorry, they had been at 2, so at the end of Batman's activation they went down to 1, which means at the end of Joker's next activation they both proc. So that was Whiteface. He had Audacity, he moved up, and he played another Stinky Fish. The same card, so that's now in play as well. The Stinky Fish is there. Now, it's both a good and a bad thing. This gas canister has gone without Nightwing and Damian activating, so they avoid being poisoned, which is great. But on the downside, this is now procced, so that means Joker's personal card has procced and gets 3 victory points. As far as I'm aware, the suspect marker just still stays there though. Yeah, it seems like it, but still, they made a bit of a comeback points-wise. Now it's back over to Batman. Nightwing activated and used his back claw to get up to Gustaf Gustafsson and attacked. In case you're wondering how combo works in 3rd edition, it's for every 2 successes before defense rolls are rolled, you get a 1 additional automatic hit. So that's how it classifies it now. Either way, he did 6 stun to poor Gustaf, which is enough to instantly knock him out. So Nightwing should be pretty safe up there despite him being heavily wounded from the gunshot wounds. So Joker's crew is falling fast. In fact, is it just Joker left to go? I think it might be. Alright. So Joker activated and immediately tried to attack Batman with his knife. Batman exerted himself with 1 effort to add an extra defense die. All said and done, that was a mistake for a reason you'll see in a second, but only 1 hit got through and it was the strength die with a crit. So that's 1 blood and poison effect, so you'll have to do an endurance check or take 1 damage at the end of the turn. But more importantly, it triggered Overdrive, which is a neutral objective card. So when an enemy model makes an effort to defend itself against your model's attacks, don't declare an effort for your model. Joker didn't declare because he can't, because he's only got 1 willpower left. So he automatically triggers this. It's like a trap card in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's 2 points to Joker. And now, Damien and this Arkham guard up here get to go, and then that's the end of the penultimate turn. So for the last 2 activations of Battle Round 3, this Arkham guard used the last of his ammunition, did 6 blood to poor Whiteface, and has killed him. There's no using non-lethal ammo this time. Then over here, Damien has moved to where you can see him, and then he placed a suspect marker. However, it's a special one. When you place a suspect marker, it can be designated as a snitch, although it's still classed as a suspect marker. It cannot be removed or revealed this round. In other words, the enemies can't remove it. If at the end of the round there are no enemies within 4 inches of the snitch marker, you score the card. So, at the end of the round, and it is the end of the round, that'll be 3. But there might be other cards to be played or scored, so we'll be back with the cleanup for this round. So as we come to the end of this battle round, there is a question that isn't made clear on the cards, both the snitch card and the stinky fish, whatever it is, because the snitch card has been scored. Both the fish are being scored for Joker's crew, so that's 4, so that's really good. Are the suspect markers removed? And if they're not removed, do they go back to being normal suspect markers, or do they rescore if they're still there in the next turn again? Because it isn't specific. I guess because it only lasts for a round, it would be removed, because that's what that clock means. It means at the end of the round you score this card, but it doesn't necessarily say what happens to the marker. The card is gone, so technically the scoring condition is gone. So that would mean the penalty is gone as well, so surely that means it either is removed or goes back to being a normal suspect marker. Not 100% sure on that. Please let me know in the comments, because that's proving very confusing for us here. We're going to treat it as the suspect markers are removed. There's only 1 round left, so hopefully it isn't going to make a big difference. The points have still been scored. Other than that, Carlo and Gustav are not waking up, so that means only Joker is getting a turn for Joker's crew in the final turn. Other than that, I think that's about it. If Joker goes down... Oh wait, no, sorry, Killer Croc is still awake. How could I forget him down there? So 2 of his crew are still awake, but there's still a chance to score points. Batman's crew has been ahead for most of the game, but that's 4 victory points from the fish alone, so we'll see what happens as we go into the final battle round 4. Via simple dice rolling off, Joker's crew has had the first activation in every turn of the game. Joker activated with Audacity. He placed a suspect marker and then he ran away to what was Batman's deployment zone, and that's it, that's his turn. Did I mention he healed a stun at the end of the turn? I don't think I did mention that. Batman healed a stun as well and he cured the point. I do remember mentioning that now actually. So either way, it is over to Batman now to see what he can do. Batman refused to let the Joker go away, and that was a very fun thematic turn for the Bat and the Joker. So he moved after him, where you can see him. He threw batarangs at Joker and hit him for 2, which was enough to knock him out. So Joker is knocked out, which also triggered Batman's unique card that had been drawn, Back to Arkham. Make the opponent boss KO or remove it as a casualty for 3 victory points. So that has been triggered. However, there was a counterplay with Let Them Do Their Thing. So you reveal a friendly suspect marker willingly, and that's the trigger for it. You just choose to do it, which is presumably right. You don't have to have someone next to it, because that would make no sense. And then center the explosive template, which was this. Then you pick a direction, roll 2d6, and it moves in that direction. Picked towards Batman, it moved 4, it still caught him, it did 2 stun damage, nothing like enough to take him out, but because it did damage, it at least scores, and that's 2, so doesn't fully counter that, but does a little bit. So now it's only Killer Croc standing for Joker's crew, and it is Batman's crew's turn. So Damian Wayne activated next, and what he was going to do was Batclaw up and arrest Gustav, and then we noticed that both arrest and Batclaw are special actions, so you can only do 1 even with Audacity, so couldn't do that. So instead, moved over here and manipulated to remove this suspect marker, which in turn scored Reveal a Suspect Marker. Then you draw an extra objective card and discard one of the 2. So that's been done to score it. However, then the counter was played. When an enemy model reveals one of your suspect markers, the opponent must choose one of their models, place a suspect marker in contact with that model. So, it's going to be up there with Nightwing, I guess. But that does score that card, so they basically counter each other. So now it's over to Killer Croc, and that basically ends the game after his turn, because there's not much Nightwing can do, because he can't arrest. or the Arkham Guard who's out of ammo, but we'll see. So the only thing that Croc is doing for his turn is he is playing yet another stinky fish. And that's a good time to mention, actually, the top left of a card is how many victory points you score if you do the thing it says. The number next to it, like in this case 3, is how many copies of this card you must take in your 20 card objective deck if you take this card. So you can't just take 1, it doesn't look fresh, you have to take 3. So all 3 have now been used. That is not getting collected by the end of the turn, so it scores, and that does take us to the end of the game. So that was super interesting. It plays so differently to 2nd edition. You'd think it wouldn't be that different, but with playing around the cards in the deck and the certain level of RNG just based on what you draw, yes, you can discard and draw 1 card, but there is a certain amount of luck now incorporated into the game, and I guess deck building. So what we have here in front of us are all the scored victory points via the objective cards for both sides. This is the Batman completed cards, this is the Joker completed cards. So we're going to count up live and see who won. So 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Batman's crew has scored 20 victory points. Let's see then. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18. So, did I count that right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 17. I'm dumb. So 20 plays 17, but for a long time Joker only had like that card scored, but then he just drew some really handy ones like all those fish. And also another nice thing to note is the cards actually felt like a Joker crew, like he was using poison everywhere and explosive teeth and stinky fish, and Batman's deck felt like Batman, like convincing the cops to use non-lethal ammunition, for instance, and going for arrests, going for suspect markers because they're investigating. So they've done a good job of making the decks feel like the characters. Of course, that's only true for Joker and Batman. Right now, any other crew, until the cards are published, you have to use just the generic cards, not the ones like the ones with the bat symbol can only be Batman, the ones that say like Joker only or like haha's Joker only. You can't use those, so you're stuck with the generic ones, so you won't have that unique flavour yet. They are making them. I assume they'll be doing new bat boxes, with Mr. Freeze being the first one, or very soon. But say you collected like Riddler or Penguin or like Corval, someone who feels like they should have a really unique playstyle, you're not going to get that until the cards are out. Nevertheless, that was very fun. We're probably going to do another one. Maybe with generic decks with some other crews, we'll see. Please do show your support, there will be more to come in the future. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Let us know in the comments, courteously, anything you think was done wrong or was done wrong, because I'm sure there was. Learning a new game is always like that. But thank you for watching this far, and ta-ta for now.